Hello. Jocko, for you especially, your character was like an oh my God moment when you finally returned. What was it like coming back to the show? And I know you can't say much about the future, but what would you hope to accomplish?
Hey Dana, how are you? Good to see you.
You too.
I was so excited by that whole comeback. It was planned to just be a couple of episodes, but because of the pandemic, it turned into a very long time. So I enjoyed the ride. What I didn't enjoy is filming for months and not being able to post anything and having to be having to play post police and just kind of like, hey, well, gotta take that down for people on set. So and
That
it's
was me
good.
who did that, Jocko.
That was once, and you got one. There was a couple of people, mind blowing. I just could not believe that they posted some things, but no, we dodged a bullet, and it was just fantastic. I had a good time with that. And what I expect and hope to accomplish, I'd like to see Reynolds evolve a little bit more as a man, make some decisions, stick to it, and I don't know, perhaps start a family. See.
Amazing.
And then she was gone, and then we never saw Dana again.
Thank you, Dana.
There she is.
Thanks, Dana. Meredith, you are up next.
Hello, thanks for doing this. So Ryan, because of everything going on at the hospital, Max kind of doesn't know what's going on with Helen and Shin, but they are together now. So, and we also didn't see Helen and Max address that moment from last season. So what can you tease about what's coming up in Max's reaction to that love triangle that I know the producers aren't calling a love triangle?
First off, I love your accent. That's fantastic. I'm jealous. And what moment are you referring to from season 2 between them? Out of curiosity.
The almost kiss.
The almost kiss. Working with Freema is one of my favorite things on the show, just because she's so extraordinarily talented, and there is a fun chemistry there to play with, and I just admire her as an actor and as a person, and so I enjoy working on that stuff. And their relationship's really interesting to me because we all have people that we're close with, that we're intimate with, even if it's not romantic or sexual, that there's a certain degree of intimacy, of trust, of sharing secrets and things like that, truths about ourselves, and vulnerable moments and things like that. And they have that, and they have this sort of will they or won't they thing that's been going on for a while. And I think seeing her with this handsome, talented surgeon, that Daniel Day Kim is playing, shakes some of that stuff up and makes you ask yourself, what are we doing here? And I think it's that story comes finally, I think, to a head this year in terms of Max has to sort of confront what is going on here, which I'm excited about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Meredith. Cody, you are up next.
How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you doing,
Great.
Cody?
How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So, like many shows, New Amsterdam this season is, of course, worked in the pandemic in a really beautiful way, I feel. So as the season approaches and continues in that, how are we going to see Max and Floyd continue to kind of work to build this better healthcare system with this pandemic still having these lingering effects and ongoing effects?
It's a good question. I mean, I think that there's an interesting speech that David Schulner wrote in episode 1 of season 3 where Max talks about, I used to want to fix it and I used to want to make it better, but I don't want to do that anymore. I want to tear it down and build something better. And I think that's a sentiment we can all relate to in many of our institutions these days, about wanting deep reform and really wanting to look at what's working and what isn't working. And I think, going forward, it might require more than how can I help? I think it might require taking a look at how do we ensure that the next time something like this happens, we're actually ready and we can get people care and not run out of supplies and things like that. And how do we make sure that people can get care equally, that certain people don't get treatment first over other people because they have more money or because of the color of their skin or their gender, and things like that. So it's really about taking a step back and really looking at the system and saying, how do we build this in the right way going forward, I think.
Great. I actually have nothing to add to that, Cody.
Boom.
Very
Took
well
the words
said.
right out of his mouth.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cody. Dana, you are up again.
Yes. So for Max, so Ryan, your character was almost arrested for drug trafficking. We did see a glimpse, a little drug trafficking. We did see, we did see a small moment where he was working with other doctors to kind of create his own network system when it came to drug supply and different supplies of equipment. I was wondering for this season, I know he wants to work more with how can we change it from within. Will we see more of that, of him reaching out to other hospitals and other doctors for help?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're right. That moment was really particularly about that. And, you know, he has that great line, I believe David wrote, that says, you know, guys, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? And yes, I think if this pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we need each other and that we need help and that we need people and that we need to be able to depend on each other. And I think that going forward, that will be something. And to your point, to your question, I think it's a big lesson that Max is learning this season, that he's not a one-man band. He can't save the world on his own. He can't save it overnight. He's not Superman. He can't do it by himself, and that he needs help and he needs people and he needs to rely on other people. So I think that's a big part of our show going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Meredith is up next.
So as we see in the preview for tonight's episode, I think Max might be happier that Reynolds is back in New York than Reynolds is. So does Reynolds kind of need that like support, considering that we also see that he's going to be clashing with Shin and getting back into the dynamics of the hospital?
Yeah, this is an awkward episode for canceled. Breakout rooms will close in 55 seconds. Okay. This is an awkward episode for Reynolds, and which is just fantastic. You'll see him going around trying to find some work to do. The current head of cardiac surgery is Flores, and he's like, well, what about this? And I could do that. And she has an answer for everything. She's like, why don't you just go like straighten out your office or unpack your office? Like, yeah, I don't really have an office. And it's just, it's fun. So having him attempting to find his footing, coming back into the situation it's great to see him fumble a little bit. So it's great.
And Ryan, Max's happiness with having him back, because he did not want to let him go last season.
Max is pumped. You know, it's funny. I mean, I was just saying to Jocko, and I said to David Schallner, our fearless leader, you know,
we're working on that. Give us just a couple minutes. Our apologies.
Oh.
Sorry about that, everyone. I think you're on mute, Ryan. So if you turn your camera once and then one more time.
Sure. Am I back in the right place now?
Yes. Okay, so sorry about that. So Meredith, I think Ryan, you were in the middle of answering.
Yes, are we here? Am I back with people? Yes. Hi, I see you. Okay, we're back. I don't know what happened. I took a brief technical break and now I'm back. Yeah, I was just saying that Max is pumped. You know, Max doesn't have a lot of friends at the hospital, truthfully. I mean, he knows everyone and he's everyone's boss. And he's fired a lot of people, and some people are afraid of him and all that. Some people are annoyed by him. Most people are annoyed by him. And he certainly has a confidant in Helen, and perhaps something other or more. But I think in terms of buddies, he doesn't have a lot. And I think Floyd has become one of those people that he can talk to when he's having a crap day. There's a scene tonight that I just mentioned to Jocko that's one of my favorites of this season. It's not like a big mind-blowing scene. It's just a short moment between Jocko and I commiserating about a bad day. And I just think that Max and Floyd have this cool little friendship that we don't visit a lot, but every once in a while we tap back into, and it's a fun one. Or when we did the barbershop episode and Max was coming to Floyd, you know, saying, help me, I'm a white dude, I'm going to a black barbershop, what do I need to know, and I just like that kind of relationship.
There's nothing. You can't help
you're screwed.
You're screwed.
You're too white. I saw you play basketball, dude. You're too white. But yeah. So I really like that relationship. It's a good friendship. It seems sincere to me, and they have fun. And I hope it's one we explore further going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Meredith. Cody, you are up next.
Again, so in the last episode, of course, we saw was a big moment, Max deciding to bring Luna home. So how are we, now that she's back, how are we going to see Max, navigating single fatherhood in the middle of this ongoing pandemic?
Totally. It's a great question. And there's a great episode coming up. 90% sure it's episode 307, written by Graham, who is a fantastic writer. And it's full of Luna troubles, just trying to manage the hospital and trying to manage Luna. And she's teething and she's biting people and she's getting kicked out of daycare and he's having a bad day and he's trying to juggle, everything that's happening in the hospital. And his wife is gone and he's doing it alone. And there's a lot of humor and there's a lot of heartbreak, and it's really, really fun stuff, figuring out how to be a dad and be a medical director at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Cody. Dana, you are up next.
Yes, hi. Question is for Jocko. I was wondering, at the end of the last episode that we was able to see, your fiance kind of gives you the ring back, says you are home already. Will that relationship kind of be explored more? Because that was a sudden end to things.
Mm-hmm. You haven't seen the last of Evie.
Very mysterious, Jocko.
You haven't seen the last of Evie. Like I said, it's a long distance relationship. It's a relationship in which the two people are married to their careers as well, and it's going to be ups and downs, and that might be a low point in their relationship. But I will say, it gets really interesting with Reynolds in the love department further down the line.
Don't tell them about this.
Deeply in love with Evie or Max.
Oh, plot twist.
Meredith, you are up next.
So when we were talking about the opioid storyline early in the season, and we kind of saw Max and Brantley almost be allies in a way. They weren't as combative as they've been in the past. So what are we going to see from Max and Brantley, and also just dealing with the board going forward?
Totally. Deb Monk is a genius, first and foremost. So grateful to have her on the show and to have the opportunity to play with her. And she's just crushing it this year. She's like further embodied Karen Brantley. Yeah, she's really great, really fun and funny, but also so grounded and real and just terrific. That's something we talk about in the sense that they do sort of respect each other underneath all this bickering, like an old married couple, and they have very different points of view. Max is the dreamer, the optimist, the idealist, and Brantley is the pragmatist and the realist and the numbers person and the bottom line and all that. But they're both after the same thing, I think, ultimately. And I think Karen has a bigger heart than she sort of lets on. So yeah, there's a lot of this, what you've seen before, but there's also this, I think there's this growing respect for the other person. And I think at some point, at least I would love to see a scene where they really connect, where they let their hair down and make out. Thank you, Jocko. Exactly. No, and just get to know each other in a way that they haven't before, because they have always got the boxing gloves on, so it would be fun to take those off one day and see what they say to each other then.
Yeah, because it was when he was like on the phone with Luna and he like turned the thing around and that was just so funny though.
Yeah, he's like, it's just a sweet little girl. Have you no heart? And Deb plays those moments to perfection. She's just, we're all in love with her.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Amazing. Okay, so Cody, you have the last question.
Awesome, thank you. So I know, Jocko, you kind of talked about it already a little bit about how part of Reynolds' story coming back is getting readjusted to the changes that have undergone. So it was hinted at a little bit that he might have a little bit of guilt in not being in New Amsterdam during this, the COVID surge. Is that going to be something we kind of see play out in his arc this season, or it might be just something that's kind of going to come up and then be resolved early on?
I think we touch on it and we get out of it. I think we make the point. And even Sharpe says there's a moment where she says all of us were hit very hard, but Bloom got the worst of it. And Reynolds kind of glances over and it's much like this whole pandemic. It's sort of a wake up call to one, to check up on your friends at the very least. And we saw him reflecting as we looked at the wall with the tree with the names of all of those that we lost at New Amsterdam. And he's had his moment, and now he's there. He's ready to work and be of assistance and help as much as he can.
Awesome. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cody.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so press, you are able to leave this breakout room and you'll be going off to your next session.